Greetings to all the souls out there. This is your Goddess Angel of Kismet, Kismet meaning destiny. And today I have a guest.
Hi, glad to be talking to you all today. This is Amy Giovannone. I am the author of the book, The World Is Not Going to Stop for My Broken Heart, and the executive director for the nonprofit Sierra Sanctuary.
Okay, welcome. Today we have another guest speaker of psychology from the University of Kent State and a professional tarot reader, astrologer, to explain zodiac personalities here with us. This segment answers the question, how might God or the universe present to us that we are called to do something? In my book, Destiny, Bringing Together Humanity's Lost Souls, all the characters felt uncontrollable events were happening around them. The more people who tried to control situations, the more things got out of hand. Amy, have you ever experienced something like this or heard anything about it?
Oh yes, absolutely. My whole life, actually, personally, and then observing others. The thing is,
Okay.
as we're growing spiritually in this world, but before we become aware of spirituality and growth, we don't realize that when we try to completely control the outcome of situations, that we are hindering the successful outcome of it.
That's interesting.
Yes. So I see it all the time. Now that I'm more aware, more spiritual, and have come to learn and realize that what we actually don't see and hear in this universe we live in is so much more real than what we see and hear. But being aware of that, I think we have to have some knowledge of that to be able to not try to have complete control of an outcome.
There's a thing very popular these days, a word.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Narcissus.
Yes. Oh, it's so popular. So overused, though.
It is.
Popular. Yeah.
But that would be one of the main characteristics of it.
Of that phenomenon where people are trying to be in total control.
Correct.
I tend to have to agree with you there.
Okay.
Absolutely. If a person or persons or group, in my opinion,
Okay.
are so unwilling to compromise because they have to have their total control to the point that it ends up not being what's best in the best interest of the mission they're all trying to work toward to accomplish. That is that's narcissism. That's
how about to the point where a bunch of people were actually rallied up for a mission and in a work setting, and it was probably the craziest fiasco a person could ever see in a professional place. People lost their jobs.
It happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to me. I even talk about it in my book slightly. It's happened to me. I've seen it happen over the years. I have a very eclectic career type background.
Okay.
I've been in the military. Worked for.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
now?
Yes, I have. That was my way through college, and but I'm glad I went. I'd been in the military, saw it there.
Of course, yeah, I could see it being there.
Experienced it, saw it. Worked for city government. It was huge, and in my case personally, I was always ahead of my time, very strong for a woman. Always did the traditional male type jobs, which were labor jobs, and I went through, in a at that time, non-progressive area, which would be the city of Warren. But I've seen it in the private sector. I've seen it. I had to, cut ties even in my nonprofit with certain people because of this phenomenon.
It is, isn't it?
It's
something about people trying to control other people.
Yeah, I think what they don't understand is, and many people is, anytime you're set out to do something, we'll say professional, but you make it personal.
Yes, that's key. Yes.
When you cannot separate your professional from your personal, whether you make it personal about yourself, look at me, look at me, look at me. The minute you take your professional mission, whether it's a spiritual mission, a faith-filled mission, or mission for, it could be the waterworks. Anytime your main goal goes for what's for the greater good of that mission to what's going to make me stand out to the world or be the best or, advance, and you take that mission to being all about you more so than what's best for that mission, it's going to crumble. It's going to fall. It's going to be like climbing Mount Everest with, 100 pounds on your back and no boots. It's going to be a struggle the whole time.
A struggle it was.
It is a struggle
for all parties.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
So you're talking about your own personal.
I am. Yes, the thing about my personal, which is in my book.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you right now what should have been the mission other than being professional at work. Outside of that, maybe that should have been the mission. And outside of that, it was personal. Everything to control what was going on at the job.
You weren't the one being personal. You're saying that.
I wasn't.
It was the other person involved that decided they're going to get personal here because you're not allowing that person to control you.
Exactly.
Completely.
You got it.
I mean, it's okay. Like, control is sick. Like, it's great to be a mentor or a guide, and that is always helpful.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's helpful, but
that was not the case.
Yeah, when it turns into control, it's so funny because it's a funny joke God and the universe played on us when they talk about the word control, because the minute someone tried, the whole
they tried to play God, actually.
Paradoxical and an oxymoron, because the minute people try to have total control, it becomes completely uncontrollable.
Yeah, because they get rebellious.
Like, the irony. The irony.
I don't care what it is. Look at you.
It can be professional sports. It's anything.
Anything. You're right.
It's the irony in it all. I love it.
That's actually kind of funny.
It really
and I
is.
can laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny.
No, not then.
At the time.
Right. It hurts. It's very hurtful. It's very frustrating. I've been there. And the whole thing is, Lakita, I'm not, so naive to know that I'm not going to be there again. It's like, it happens everywhere we go because it is, unfortunately, it's a very common thing. It's more uncommon to not have that.
Really?
Yeah, and it's been my experience in professional settings. It's actually more uncommon. And if you can, whether it's in creative work, government work, any type of private sector, public sector, if you can work at a place where the person in charge or most in charge or the board realizes that type of behavior or thoughts isn't the best place, you want to stay at that employment if you can, if it's working out for you.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, the whole thing is and again, this is just natural DNA of human beings.
Yeah.
They get comfortable, they get complacent, they get to a certain point in their life and they think they've made it, whatever that means to them.
Okay.
And they stop trying to grow and learn. Many,
Okay.
I'm not saying all. It's very common. They stop being open to the fact that they can learn more every day, and they can learn off of the person it's their first day at work.
There you go. You got it.
It's like babies. Baby will teach you. Who knew more baby could teach you something?
Definitely.
So yeah.
Wow.
These have been my observations. So.
I think you hit
What?
the nail on the head when you said that, though.
Really?
How sometimes people they don't understand that they can learn from somebody who they feel is, I don't know, a subordinate,
less than, or
just inexperienced. In their mind, they might think sometimes
it doesn't mean you
they
can't learn something,
but
they do.
You never know who knows what.
Exactly.
Just because you're judging somebody from maybe their position or just by what you think, when you don't know a person well enough, you never know what they know or what they could teach you.
Well, here's the whole thing.
Or how valuable
and I like
information
I'll give
that
you
they
a couple
know.
examples. Yes, absolutely. So one of the reasons why I think college is great isn't so much for the book and part of it and the it is important if you're set out for that and you want that. And for the degree, there is so much life lessons and growing that I learned in college that you just learn in your classrooms from open discussion. That isn't necessarily on the test.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's that example. Another example is, I'll never forget this. I was working for one police department, and some fellow, the dispatch had been, he's ready to retire. I'll never forget. I don't know. I said something once, and trust me, I was cocky. A little bit,
Okay.
a little too much for them. Because I was in the military. I'm only 19, but don't treat me, like after I got out or whatnot. Don't treat me like, I wanted to make sure they knew. And so that was some little chip on my shoulder as well. I got it, and that's maturity,
You were 19.
They knew that you're not going to talk to me like I'm, an IQ of 2.
Well,
because I'm blonde and 19.
Okay. You wanted respect for the experience you did.
Yeah, when you sat in that, and it wasn't like, I've done, and I guess it was, but you're going to point the finger at me when all you've done is sit in that chair your whole life. And you have no idea where I've been, what I'm from.
No idea.
My age is not in congruence with my experience. But even if it was, why are you treating me like this? And he said to me, oh, you think you've been working here for, 23 years. I'm like, I don't care if I was working here 2 days. I'm 19. That's hard for someone ready to retire to handle. From that mentality.
Right.
A man,
It is. And you were a female.
I'm like, I don't care, in my mouth. And, but, now I would say the same thing, but I would say it with a different tone.
Okay.
It's not always what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
It took me a while to learn It's called, Lakita, it's called being seasoned. I don't like to call it odor or aging. It's called being seasoned. Because you can be seasoned in a certain area of your life at any age.
Okay. Yeah.
You like it?
I like it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I know a little bit, you've told me about some of your experience. I don't know a lot. I need to really read your book and finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is, without reading your book,
Okay.
is that not so great experience has helped you to grow.
It certainly, most certainly has.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so you can take some good from that.
Oh, I'm grateful for it. I mean, it was very hurtful to go through, very stressful. And if I had to do it over again, I would not.
Yeah, right.
But being that I made it to this point, it had a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you take every situation we go through in life, good or bad, and if you can find, in those bad instances, and I talk about it in my book, if you can find an area of that you can make it have a purpose,
Yes.
we can accept what happened and move on.
Amen.
And take that lesson or the purpose,
Okay.
and use for the greater good for ourselves and for others.
That's what I'm talking about.
High five
Right
me,
there.
sister.
And we did this, and with your permission, I probably want to post this.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. I normally
Just to introduce you. Can I introduce you with this?
Absolutely.
Okay, I will. And we need to take pictures.
Today?
No, not today.
Okay,
But I
because
mean,
I'm gonna
like,
look at you, girl.
no, I'm gonna have one.
We're gonna have to start doing videos. and stuff.
We could do video
I can listen to
podcasts. Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
Eventually,
because
yeah.
I
We
think
gotta look. We gotta
Our
look. We gotta
chemistry
have
looks
our.
good. We're good. I think we'll be, because we can be funny about it too. I think we're gonna get a lot of